Hello everyone, welcome to Telugu One Academy. Today we are going to discuss regarding the Assam Rifles, which is one of the central paramilitary forces which comes under Central Armed Police Forces. Okay, so why exactly Assam Rifles we need to discuss in a separate class or a separate session. When it comes to the issue of the Northeast insurgency, the main force which is at the ground level and managing the insurgency in the Northeast will be the Assam Rifles. And one more important issue regarding the Assam Rifles is the only paramilitary force which has dual control. Okay, what exactly is this dual control? That means the Assam Rifles is under the both controls of Ministry of Home Affairs and also the Ministry of Defense. Now let's go into this issue, what exactly the dual control is and how is it affecting the operations of Assam Rifles and also its transparency and accountability in case of events or mistakes done during the operations in the Northeast region. So, what exactly is Assam Rifles? Assam Rifles is one of the 6 central armed police forces under the administration control of Ministry of Home Affairs. One need to write this down, that it is under the administrative control of Ministry of Home Affairs. Fondly called, so it is famously called the Friends of the Northeast People. It is called the Friends of the Northeast People. So the force is the highest awarded and decorated paramilitary force of Republic of India. The history of Assam Rifles is very interesting, that it is the oldest paramilitary force of India which was formed in the year 1935. Okay, so we'll see the genesis and history in the eventual slide, but before that we'll directly jump into the major issue. It is tasked with the maintenance of law and order in the Northeast along the Indo-Myanmar border. It also works with Indian Army and also guards the Indo-Myanmar border region. It has sanctioned strength of around 63,000 personnel and has 46 battalions apart from administrative and training staff. So it's one of the largest paramilitary force. Okay. So, how unique is this institution or how unique is Assam Rifles? As I said you previously that it is under the dual control of both Ministry of Home Affairs and Ministry of Defense. How this dual control works, let me explain you. So, it is an authentic article which I have been providing for you from the Times of India. Okay, so this is the important one. You see, it is the only paramilitary force with a dual control structure, while the administrative control, that is the recruitment process, is done by Ministry of Home Affairs. Okay, see, the administrative control of forces is with Ministry of Home Affairs, that is initial examination or else the salary thing or else the cadre thing, everything is done by the Ministry of Home Affairs, while its operational control is with Indian Army. That is at the ground level, how it gonna work or what the operation it forces are gonna do at the ground level is dealt with Indian Army. That is why rather than having an IPS officer as its heads in eventual years, it is under the control of Indian Army with the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. Okay, which is under the Ministry of Defense. Operations are under the Ministry of Defense and administration is under the Ministry of Home Affairs. That is, funding is given by Ministry of Home Affairs. It means that the salaries, infrastructure for the force is provided by the Ministry of Home Affairs, but the deployment, where exactly the person need to be posted, transfer and deputation of the personnel are decided by the Ministry of Defense. Please note it down. So all its senior ranks from Director General to in IG and sector headquarters are manned by officers from the Indian Army. The force is commanded by Lieutenant General, it is Lieutenant General from the Indian Army. It is commanded by Lieutenant General, but do we also have Lieutenant Colonels working in the force? The force is the only central paramilitary force, okay, with the true sense of what exactly the paramilitary term explains, this force justifies then all the other 5 forces. Real sense as its operational duties and regimentation are in the lines of Indian Army. However, being a central armed police force under Ministry of Home Affairs, its recruitment, perks and promotion of personnel and retirement policies are governed by according to the rules framed by Ministry of Home Affairs. That is, your recruitment, your retirement, your salaries, your perks, your retirement benefits, your pension, everything is under the control of Ministry of Home Affairs. Okay, this has created two sets of demand, my friends. Obviously, when you have a dual control, people always want to be at one side. That is either the Ministry of Home Affairs or either the Ministry of Defense. So both has pros and cons. When it comes to the Ministry of Defense, when all the personnel in the Assam Rifles want to support Ministry of Defense, then they have few advantages. That is, armed people or army get extra perks, extra salaries. Okay, and apart from that, they also have an advantage of one rank, one pension scheme, where all the persons who have retired at one rank get same pension. So all these advantages, but there is also a disadvantage is if all the personnel go into the side of Indian Army, because the retirement age for the Indian Army is only 35 years. When it comes to the retirement age of the paramilitary forces under Ministry of Home Affairs, it comes to the age of 60 years. Okay, I am talking about the typical age time which comes under Officer Training Academy. Okay, that's what I have been explaining in this slide. Okay, so but most number of forces want to join Ministry of Defense because of the advantages. Only disadvantage is the retirement age. Also, CAPF officers were recently granted a good advantage scheme, that is non-functional financial upgradation, because friends, as I have discussed a lot of times in the eventual classes of various forces in the various armed forces in India. So in that classes I have been explaining you the disadvantages faced by the Central Armed Police Forces. That is, the promotional aspect of Indian Armed paramilitary forces is very delayed and they do not get a regular promotions in their segment. So this has been discouraging the people, and because of the extra workload, they are also feeling tired and giddy. And we have also seen incidences where paramilitary constables, okay, paramilitary forces at lower level have been attacking their officers very brutally. This is because of the level of stress. So to counter this, they were given non-functional financial upgradation to at least financially address the issue of stagnation in the career due to lack of avenues for promotion. But army personnel also get one rank, one pension available to the Central Armed Police Forces. These were given to counter the disadvantages. Why exactly the Ministry of Home Affairs want it, and why the Ministry of Defense also want this force? My friends, we have seen that India had a war with China in the year 1962. At that time, the Assam Rifles had played a greater role to counter the Chinese forces. So now what happened? Since then, or since its historical times, Assam Rifles was never a police force, rather it was a guarding force or an armed force. So due to this peculiar nature and due to its initial control under the Indian Army, so Ministry of Defense says that it is very crucial that Ministry of Defense have control of the Assam Rifles so that it can guard Indo-Myanmar and also counter the Chinese insertion in the region. Okay. Apart from this, why Ministry of Home Affairs want this force? Because Ministry of Home Affairs has a policy that one border, one force. What is that? One border, one force. So because of this policy, the Indo-Myanmar border is guarded by the Assam Rifles in coordination with the Indian Army. So the Ministry of Home Affairs says that this should be the force, and this force should be completely under the control of Ministry of Home Affairs, because this is a border guarding force. So this issue is not an old issue, my friend. This was a recent issue which was raised in 2013. Prior to that, much things were not happening at an elaborate level, but there were few cases in the Supreme Court and various high courts that this institution should be either in Ministry of Home Affairs or either in the Ministry of Defense. So in 2013, the issue came up in front of the cabinet, but due to the change in the government in 2019, the issue again came up in front of the cabinet, but the decision of the cabinet is yet to be taken, especially regarding where exactly the control of both operational and administration should go into. So what all I said, my friends, you can please look into these slides. If you're not following me, please pause the video and look on the slides so that you can note the important points which I have been provided you on this slide. And next, the same thing. See, it also argued that Assam Rifles was always a military force. This was the answer what was given by Ministry of Defence. No need to fix. Defence says, why you need to fix this force when it is not even broken? This is a very perfect force. It is not broken now. Do not worry about this. But you see, my friends, because of this dual nature, there is no accountability, especially when you consider the recent incident which happened in the Nagaland in the Mon district, where around the 7 civilians, 6, you can say 4 to 6 civilians in the initial case, and in total there were 13 civilians killed, okay, because of lack of intelligence or mistake in intelligence gathering. So who does this intelligence gathering? It is the Indian Army. But who are these administered under? These Assam Rifles, that is under Ministry of Home. So they both deny to take the responsibility. So in these cases, one force need to be under control of one ministry as a whole, so that it has a clear-cut transparency and also accountability. So the same thing I have said, it is not broken, then why you want to fix it? So then it also said, I have told you that it argued that Assam Rifles was always a military force. It was never a paramilitary, it was never a police force. How old is the issue? As I told you, the issue is not very far. However, it was in 2013, MHF, that is Ministry of Home Affairs, made the first proposal to take the operational control of Assam Rifles, and they have even thought that they want to merge the Assam Rifles with the border security force. Friends, there is also some intellectual thought which is going on the name of the Assam Rifles also. People say, some great thinkers, a great political analysts also say that the name of Assam Rifles itself is not suitable in the present context. Because when the Assam Rifles was formed, the whole northeast was a monolith under the name of Assam or northeastern provinces. So what happened? The name says it only guards the Assam region, and the insurgent groups in the regions which are created as a new state, such as in Arunachal, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, think that these forces are against their own state interest. So the name also need to be revamped or changed as a Northeast Protection Force, Northeast Anti-Insurgent Force, Northeast Border Guarding Force is also one of the important issue which is raised by a few of the Northeast thinkers. So there were discussions had between Ministry of Home Affairs and Defence, as I told you before, and this is also the same thing. In 2019 it came back to the cabinet, and the matter is still pending before the cabinet committee, and there is no consensus between both the ministries and the personnel, because army don't want to lose it, because the most important interest of army in that region is to protect that region, is to not lose that region, and it with the only talent or with the only manpower and the information what army has, it can control the whole border. See, actually been pushing for not only to control the Assam Rifles, but also operational control over ITBP they are also asking, because just the nature of China, because of increasing incidences we have seen in the Galwan Valley, where the Indian army personnel were killed by the Chinese forces in a very brutal way. So same thing, because of increasing actions of China, it wants the whole control of Indo-China border. So there have been also been petitions filed in the courts, as I have told you. So what has been the contribution of Assam Rifles? Now we come to the history of this Assam Rifles. Way back in 1835. So Assam Rifles is the oldest paramilitary force, raised way back in 1835 by the British, which only 750 men. The main aim of this force was to protect the estates of the British personnel then that time in the Assam region. So later this force had been playing a leading role as an armed force during the World War I. It also participated in the World War II. It even participated in the Indo-China War of 1962. So all these important leading roles were played by the Assam Rifles. During the World War II, it even protected the northeast border from the insurgencies of various forces or Japanese incursion through the Myanmar or the then Burma. So since then it has gone to fight with two world wars and Sino-Indian War of 1962 and used as an anti-insurgency force against militia groups in northeast region. Raised as a militia to protect the British estates, and the initial name of this Assam Rifles was Chachar League or Chachar Livi or Kakhar Livi, whatever the pronunciation you want from that. It was reorganized as Assam Frontier Force as its role was expanded to conduct punitive operations beyond Assam borders. Given the contribution, opening the regional administration and commerce, it came to be known as right arm of the civil and left arm of the military. You see, the complex nature of Assam Rifles had made it to look like it is a mix of both right arm of the civil and left arm of the army, because it does both the civilian duties and also the defense duties. Friends, most of the disasters which occurred in the northeast region, the people were rescued by the Assam Rifles. They even play a leading role during the disasters. They also help the National Disaster Response Force during those times. Post-independence, the role of Assam Rifles continued evolving, ranging from the conventional combat during Indo-Sino War in 1962, and they also participated in the peacekeeping forces in Sri Lanka. Okay, Indian Peacekeeping Forces IPKF in 1987, and also to peacekeeping role in the northeastern region of India. As I told you initially that it is the most decorated paramilitary force of India. Okay, it is the most decorated. It even was decorated during the World War I and even during World War II, and even after independence most of the Paramveer Chakra or Veer Chakra medals have been awarded to this institution. It remains the most awarded paramilitary forces: 120 Saurya Chakra, 31 Kirti Chakra, 5 Veera Chakra and 4 Ashoka Chakra, apart from 188 Sena medals. So friends, we here come to the end of this class on Assam Rifles. So we have seen that their mandate is to protect or guard the Indo-Myanmar border and also guard the civilians against the insurgency happening in the northeast region. Simple mandate, not large. So now based on this, how come a question in the UPSC mains could be framed? It could be framed like this: discuss the key mandate of Assam Rifles and what are the issues and concerns surrounding the dual control. This was the important thing all about this class, because it's the only paramilitary force having this unique nature. Of the Assam Rifles, critically analyze while suggesting solutions to dual control. So now, this question has 3 questions in itself. One is to tell about the mandate, okay, and 2, you need to discuss regarding the dual control, okay, and this while suggest the solutions to dual control. Okay, here you need to do brainstorming. Okay, this is very important part. Here you need to do brainstorming and you need to provide a very good way forward from your own sense. So you have to think for this. But before going into this, how you gonna start this answer? Let me show you how you will be starting this answer. So first introduce, in introduction, after introduction, what will be give the brief genesis of Assam Rifles. Say that Assam Rifles is the oldest paramilitary force of India, started in the year 1835, Okay, as a guarding force of tea estates of British with the name of Kachar League or Chachar League, whatever the pronunciation it is. So with that, you go directly into the issue that it is the only paramilitary force having dual control. That is, it is administered, that administration duties are with Ministry of Home Affairs, and also that its operational duties are with the Indian Army, and it is also led by Indian Army personals. Okay, after writing that, you done with your, so now write more about the issue. That is, both the Ministry of Home Affairs and Indian Army both are interested in getting the Assam Rifles on their side because of the increasing defense want, because of increasing role of China in the border region and proxy wars in the region, and Ministry of Home Affairs wants because of its principle of one border, one police force. Okay, so regarding that you have to explain. Now you see, what will you write in your brainstorming? Brainstorming for what? Show us the solutions so that this dual control is not there in the future. Take up a stand, take up your own stand. That joining this force, what happens to, he said critically analyze, you give a critical answer, that you show the difference. If you join the force in Ministry of Home Affairs, what are the advantages? If you join the force in Ministry of Defense, what are the advantages and disadvantages? Make a difference. Draw this diagram. Ministry of Home, in this also you write advantages, disadvantages. After that you write Ministry of Defense, advantages and disadvantages. After writing like this, now you give your own way forward. I leave that issue to you, because as I have said, one can also say that the name itself is the issue, so change the name, or give the more mandate to Assam Rifles, or make it a separate force with mandate where it can also recruit its personnel from the Indian Armed Forces, or make just a dual control. Let it be a dual control, but in a structured way where both the forces frame rules and guidelines for the force. Isn't it? We can also make that possible by bringing both the ministries and both the personnel at a table. So I leave that way forward for you, my friends. Please think about that so that you write a beautiful way forward. So we will end our class here, my friends. So thank you for watching our video. This is Nikhil from Telugu One Academy. Thank you.